you doing, everybody? It's Joe Vizio here. On my way out for another Sunday of work. It's actually getting a little bit easier. The business is actually growing pretty good, to the point to where my wife has stepped down to a part-time position in her job, and she's actually out running her own route. I think she kind of got to the point where, and mind you, she, used to help me out with this, but then she decided that she didn't like it and really kind of buried herself into what she was doing. And then she got to the point where she's like, hey, wait a minute, I mean, you're pretty much making your own schedule and doing your own thing. I want some of that. So, now that I've expanded the way that I have and growing, my wife has stepped down to a part-time position with the company she works for. And she's now working for me part-time. Working for us. I think last night I asked her if she had to work today, and she says, well, yeah, for our business. I kind of liked hearing that, and I think she kind of liked saying that. So, is this what success starts to feel like? Alright, looking for that karmatic bolt of lightning to come strike me. You guys know how that is. So, a few days ago, I was listening to some videos, kind of catching up on everybody that I could. And up in my suggested videos, you know how to have those videos that they suggest you listen to? There was a suggested video from a guy that I used to listen to a while ago. And I haven't listened to him in a long time. But back, when my journey first started, when I first found Ollie, I think this guy again came up into one of the suggestions, and I gave him a listen and started following him a little bit. But then, once I started making more connections to more of what I could relate with, because mind you, this person was more on the domestic relationship side of the spectrum. And although I couldn't fully relate, I did find a lot of comfort in listening to his stories. It's kind of like, that this guy, What a Load Of. Again, if you haven't given him a try, check him out, What a Load Of. And, he's going through some, hard times in a domestic relationship, but, he's definitely finding himself, and he's allowing everybody to witness his journey. So check him out. But even if you can't fully relate on that spectrum, you still have comfort listening to other people work these things out. So that's what I did. And although it's been quite some time since I've listened to him, I mean over a year now, here he is in my suggested video, so let me give him a try, let me check him out. Thought this guy fell off the face of the planet. Now, it was actually me, but and as I started listening to his video, I thought, let me go try and find the most recent thing that he's done. And I found it, and I would say, just off the top of my head, that video was a year old itself. Trevor Hawkley or Trenton, or I'm drawing the blank on his name. But anyway, he said something that kind of hit home. He said that he was making that video because he had gotten a lot of messages asking what happened to him. And he come on there and he said, I feel better. This is what it looks like to feel better. I don't feel the need to do this. And he was saying that he felt like that if he kept doing it, he's just kind of dwelling down in that boneyard that he needs to get out of. Me paraphrasing. And, you know, it made sense. Had me actually kind of reflecting on myself. Not that I think that I am ready to stop my recovery. I think as far as I've come, I think I still have a ways to go. But it did get me thinking about the inevitable. And I'm sure I'll know when it's time. But I think that this guy did something pretty good. He's not going to do it for a career. You know, not everybody has that gift that Ollie has to where he can just hear something and pick out things that we miss. And Ollie's very good at that. I always wanted to see Ollie just kind of further himself on this line. I think that he can really help out a lot of people. But anyway, you can tell he's not really bullshitting anybody. He got in, did what he had to do, he felt better, and then he got out. And I would say eventually I'm going to find myself in that position of knowing when to say when. Yeah, I love all the connections that I made with everybody. But sometimes when I don't hear from somebody for a while, you know, that might cross my mind. Well, I wonder if this person's just felt better and, you know, they're taking a break. They need to get away from this. Of course, you could always just think I suck and just unsubscribe and I'll never see or hear from you again. But, you know, I think that we've all that have been through this, whether that on a domestic or on a parental level, you know, we do have that bond. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you call it like trauma bonding somewhat. But I think it's deeper than that. I mean, we can relate with each other. We can relate with each other where most people really can't. You start telling some of this stuff to your friends that might not know about it. No, well, my parents were hard on me too. They didn't let me go to the dance. Okay, yeah, I guess you've been through it, huh? But, I mean, we know the difference, right? So I value all the connections that I have, but to be honest with you, I want you all to just kind of feel better. I want you to feel better to where you don't need any of this. I want you to feel better and go out and live a normal life and put Joe Vizio and Ollie Matthews and Shrieking Violet and everybody in your rearview mirror. Where you can think, you know what, listening to these videos and bonding with all the people on here, the you know, Belle Michelle and Breaking the Chains and Narcissistic Web and What a Load Of and everybody that I have been bonding. I'm sorry, I mean, I know I'm not naming everybody. But we all got to kind of hope that we all feel better and we move on. You know, I have a few people on here. I sent an email to one. Another one I've just been kind of, you know, keeping an eye on. But, I mean, I don't hear much from you. I don't really see you down in my comments. I don't see you making videos yourself. So, I mean, you're probably into something. But deep down inside, I hope you feel better and you put us all in the rearview mirror. Because that's what this is all about, right? So, real quick, let's turn the page here. I know I'm late on this, but Michelle from Breaking the Chain has put out a bad recipe challenge for the holiday. And I would like to participate. So, mine's not going to so much be about the holidays. And, you know, you guys got to kind of understand, I'm from an Italian family, and everybody can cook. You know, it's kind of one of those there, you know. First of all, if you come from an Italian family and you can't cook, you need to go take a jump in the lake for a little while. But you know, everybody's good cooks. But everybody does have that one or two nasty things that they make. My grandmother did most of the cooking for the holidays, and you know, if there's anything that I miss from my father's side of the family is that cooking that my grandmother did. She really knew how to fry up some vittles, if you know what I mean. So my mother, although she wasn't Italian, she was kind of heavily influenced by the Italian sides. And she was a pretty good cook herself at one time. Until she got lazy. And now, you know, making a scrambled egg, just kind of cracking an egg in a bowl and putting it in the microwave. I hate the smell of a microwaved egg. My mom was definitely a microwave cooker, but you know, she kind of had some things that, like, you know, this mac beef stew that she would make, or she would like water down this spaghetti sauce and put some unseasoned ground beef in it with noodles, and it was kind of at first like a spaghetti soup kind of thing. It was just nasty. And then after it sits in the refrigerator for a while and dries up, and it was just, and I think I hate it so much as it just kind of reminds me of a time in my childhood to where, you know, I mean, we didn't have any money. So I guess that was something that my mother could cheaply make. I don't know. Cabbage. My mother would go out and buy the biggest head of friggin' cabbage that she can find and boil it. I mean, the whole house would smell like somebody got sick in the air conditioning vent. And she made enough to feed an entire army. She could feed a third world nation with the amount of this shit that she would make, but she would just put it in these containers and freeze it. This way she can microwave it anytime she wants to and just stink up the house again. This shit was just nasty. I couldn't, like, cabbage stew or cabbage soup, or just nasty, nasty, nasty. My father would, my father has been preaching a health food kind of lifestyle for a long time. It used to really get on my nerves when he did it. But I have to say, now that I'm a 43-year-old man, and my diet is, I would say, probably 60% organic, my father was absolutely right. If he was right on anything in the world, he was 100% right on eating habits and not buying the processed foods and things like that. He 100% on the money. So, I have to give him credit on that one there. But, kind of like quitting smoking, living that lifestyle isn't for everybody. Not until you're ready. You can't quit smoking until you're ready. You can't go on to a health food diet until you're ready. So here we are, kids. And my father would buy this rice. It was nasty. The nastiest shit. Some kind of like this whole grain. I mean, it was, I tell you, it was probably the healthiest kind of rice you could ever eat. They would boil the ever-loving shit out of it. No seasoning whatsoever. Just boil it and serve it up. And it was just like a mush. It didn't even look like regular rice. It was like these little, like a ball. And we were force-fed it. My father was a force-feeding kind of person. He thought that, you know, that one little plate of whatever the hell he's going to feed you is going to make a world of difference on you. And then I think it just got down to he's going to force you to eat it just to say that he beat you. He was able to beat you at that game, and he got you to eat something that you didn't want to eat. Because believe me, it wasn't, you know, especially at that time where I was living with my mother and I was going back and pretty much on a steady diet of junk, that one little plate of rice wasn't going to make a difference. And, you know, I understand, I guess, what he was trying to do, but, you know, there's a difference. I mean, he did everything but put the rice on his fist and punch me in the mouth with it. But his attitude was, you know, it is going into your stomach. Whether you put it in your mouth or I shove it up your ass, one way or the other, this stuff is going into your stomach. And there were 4 of us. There was, you know, the 2 boys from my father's girlfriend, my sister, and myself. And we all hated it. You know, my sister, I mean, I guess she could eat anything. She didn't give a shit. If it was edible, she could eat it. But us 3 boys, we had such a hard time with this stuff. And I remember the one boy, the older of the 2 boys, he would sit down at his plate. I mean, before he would even sit down, he already had a handful of this stuff. And he's just kind of mashing it in there just to get it down right away. And the whole time he's chewing it, you can see his gag reflex kicking up and you know, this poor guy. And me and the younger boy, I mean, we kind of had really the same plan where we would just get this bread. And mind you, this is like a healthy, whole wheat kind of bread that still had like hunks of wood in the bread. I mean, you had to pull the wood out of the bread. So we would just take the rice and put it on the bread and put ketchup on it before my father banned ketchup. And we would just make like a ketchup and rice sandwich and try and still with our gag reflexes kicking up. We had to eat. This was just the nastiest shit in the world. Oh my God. You know what it tasted like? And I'll give you an idea. You get a box of cereal, okay? And you open it up and you take that plastic bag out of the cereal that has all the cereal in it and just put it aside because you don't need any of that. Take the cardboard box and just that's what this stuff tasted like whole cardboard box. This is what this stuff was like. It was like eating processed wood. It was nasty, the nastiest shit in the world. And really, I mean, it was like hell. That was the witching hour. We had to sit down at that dinner table and my father going to force feed us something. And, you know, there was plenty of things that would happen. Mostly vegetables, you know. But that rice, I have to say, was like the worst thing that my father ever cooked. I don't know if he fucked it up or if it was supposed to be intentionally cooked that way. But that was just the worst thing in the world to have to try and stomach. I hated every minute of it. So, you know, I guess we kind of go through the same dilemma now with my daughter. You know, my wife isn't... She's not forceful about it, like violent forceful like my father was. But my wife is really... My wife wasn't forced to eat anything when she was a kid. If she didn't want to eat it, her mother just, okay, well, no problem, you don't have to eat it. So my wife grew up not eating any kind of vegetables whatsoever. She hates them. Now she's, broadening her horizons and trying to get more of this stuff down the old gullet. And she thinks that, the way to teach my daughter to eat it is for my daughter to see us eating it, which, I have to agree. But it is a fight. And I don't think that my wife is wrong because, again, she's not forcefully doing this, but you're not, if you don't want to eat it, you don't have to eat it, but there's no dessert. We're not getting a dessert. And I've talked about this before one time with the carrots in the amusement park. Well, yesterday it was over some broccoli and a trip to the mall because everyone to go to the mall and just kind of walk around and do the Christmas thing. So the threat was you're not getting any dessert and we're not going to the mall. So, big fight ensued, but my daughter did get the broccoli down and, all is sunny. But, as I'm sitting there and my wife's doing it and I'm just kind of, visibly emotional over it. I mean, she can see that I'm aggravated and, and she might think that she's doing something wrong. And I'm telling her, honey, you're not doing anything wrong. I said, but this is just hard for me to watch because, this happened to me. It happened to me a lot more forceful than what you're doing. But it's kind of hard, when I see her and she's crying that she really don't like to eat that. My attitude is, well, you know what? Let's find something else that she's going to eat rather than force her to eat something that she just don't like. But where does that end? You know what I mean? So it's kind of a thing where I'm not really interfering. I'm backing my wife up because I'm telling her to eat the broccoli, but it's hard. It's hard for me to do. I would rather just, get some Flintstone vitamins and try and get her the vitamins down her that way, but that's probably not the best thing to do. So kind of on the fence about that there. So I thought maybe this would be the appropriate time to bring all this up. And I have to say that my father was very discriminatory towards obese people. My father, as a matter of fact, I'm using a nice word, my father absolutely hates fat people. And he was fat himself. In his younger years, I'm talking, I was probably, 3-4 years old. He was pretty portly. But my father had a surgery, a ulcer surgery, where they removed like 65% of his stomach. And ever since then, my father's eaten like a bird. And he's maintained his weight. And I've always said this. My father, for his age and all the time that I know, my father was always in good shape. He was always in good shape, He got past what he needed to. He had the surgery. But the thing is, he was so judgmental of other people. And just like how I would say how he would make fun of his daughter with his cracks and allow the boys to make fun of him. And, even when I started getting obese, he hated it. He thought it was just absolutely disgusting. He would call me out in front of other people. And just like I was the scum of the earth. And, I've seen him throughout his life, always making fun of random people because they're obese. So he had a discrimination against, a prejudice against obese people. And I didn't start putting on weight until after I had my car accident. I had my car accident. I didn't really get to go out and exercise as much as I used to. I hate to use that as an excuse, but it hurt. I didn't know how to deal with it at first. Plus, I'm the type of person, when I'm happy, I eat. So as I settled down into a relationship with my wife, we both enjoy cooking, we both enjoy eating, and we both got fat. My wife, she's still beautiful. She is still the most beautiful woman in the world to me, but I know she is not happy with herself. I am not happy with myself. So that is going to be my goal for 2017. Just like I had beat the smoking thing, now I'm going to beat my weight problem. And you know, don't get the wrong idea. I'm not like morbidly obese or anything like that, but I think I can stand to drop about 50 pounds. And I can't be a skinny person. When I get skinny, I look sick. I'm one of them guys that has to have a little bit of curves, if you know what I mean. I gotta have curves, baby. So that's going to be my goal. And I'm probably going to make some videos to show my transformation as I go, because I think that right there kind of helps. Be that as I get encouragement from, you know, those who may view my videos, and also it encourages myself because I have to keep on it. So first thing we did is we cut out soda. I haven't had a soda in a couple days, and we're going to see how long I can keep that streak up. I'm not a big soda drinker, but when I sit down to a meal, especially dinner, I like to have a Coke with it. I'm sorry, sue me, but we're going to cut that out. And like I said, we're probably like 65% organic. You know, we get our fruit organic. A lot of, like, if we do buy any kind of processed food, we make sure that it is non-GMO verified, made with organic materials. So we'll see how it goes, you know what I mean? I think that if I can beat something like that, if I could beat the smoking thing, if I can beat the obesity thing, I think that that's showing a lot of success and control over my life, which is one of the big goals of me starting this video blog here, was to maintain and to gain and maintain control over my life. So we'll see how that goes, huh? So guys, I'll be out and about today, and I know I always say I'll probably make a couple more videos. You know, I'll do my best at it. I think I have a few things I'd like to talk about, but I definitely wanted to get that off my chest. So guys, thank you very much. I appreciate everything.